85% patients completed the trial in Polycap arm. This was very, very important because now we are expecting a good compliance from the patients. Both groups showed reduction in LDL levels. There was a slightly significant less reduction of the LDL in the Polycap versus simvastatin alone. Otherwise, the effect of aspirin, antiplatelet activity and all were same. So it concluded that Polycap is similar to the added effects of each of its three BP lowering components. There is greater BP lowering with incremental components. ASA does not interfere with BP lowering effects. Polycap reduces LDL to a slightly lower extent compared to simvastatin alone, but does reduce it to a significant level. The Polycap lowers thromboxane B2 to a similar extent as aspirin alone. Most important, there are no significant drug-drug interactions. It is well tolerated, and this could potentially reduce CVD risk by almost half. Now, this is a very important point. If we can reduce CVD risk by half by just taking one drug to which the patient is very, very compliant, would definitely be a useful situation. So, in those with average risk factors, the drug is useful. Now, after that, this was basically a primary prevention trial kind of thing. And now we have a secondary prevention study, which is the TIPS 2. We have TIPS 2, we have TIPS 3, TIPS 4. So basically in a scientific manner, more and more patients in different groups are being included. So this is a study in patients with stable CVD or elevated risk factors to evaluate two doses of Polycap compared to single dose. Since the amount of drugs in the polypill is basically on the lower side, that is available 5, we want to give 10. Simvastatin 20, we want to give 40. So it was also suggested that a patient who is already requiring secondary prevention now may need two capsules of polypill instead of one. Whether that is safe, whether that is useful, this is for the TIPS 2 to determine. And it has shown very clearly as expected that if you take 2 capsules per day, you find that the BP lowering effect is even more. The LDL lowering effect is also more. So our endpoints are better controlled when we give it twice a day. So therefore it was recommended that for secondary prevention, a higher dose, that is 1 capsule twice a day, is better. And for primary prevention, we have 1 capsule once a day. So this is just to combine the two, TIPS 1 and TIPS 2. And it has shown that we have reduction in the blood pressure on the endpoint that we wanted. And the drugs are definitely successful. Now, therefore, because it is reducing the blood pressure to a better level, LDL to a better level, therefore double dose Polycap should lead to a proportionately larger clinical benefit. And these results translate into 50 to 60% relative risk reduction in major CVD when administered long term. After that, we have a TIPS 3 study which is ongoing. Basically, this is just they want to show whether aspirin is helpful in cancers also. One, with the vitamin D supplementation will help. Nowadays, with the role of vitamin D coming up quite a bit. Now, many trials are using vitamin D along with a statin. So therefore, this was to show whether using vitamin D would reduce the risk of fractures. Now, as I said earlier, this is moderate or high risk individuals without CVD and a wider range of population. But TIPS 1 and TIPS 2 have already done their job. They have already shown that the optimal dose of what it is in primary and secondary prevention, and most importantly, they have demonstrated the tolerability of the drug. This is always a major issue. So, aspirin, they have to study. A primary objective is whether it is useful for the composite, reduces risk of composite outcomes of major CVD. Whether aspirin will be useful in reducing the risk of composite outcomes and cancers. Whether vitamin D will reduce the risk of fractures. That is TIPS 3. Then another study in the pipeline is TIPS 4, wherein they try 2 antihypertensives instead of 3 as compared to 3 antihypertensives. So 2 antihypertensives versus 3 antihypertensives. And here they also have an ABPM study, the ambulatory BP monitoring study, to show the efficacy of the blood pressure in ambulatory BP monitoring. As you all know, nowadays the role of ambulatory BP monitoring has come up, and it has been suggested that that is actually a good way and in fact a better way of measuring blood pressure and being sure that the blood pressure is reduced to the proper level as desired. So it has got a ABPM sub-study also. So this is 3-dose combination versus 2-dose combination, and whether statins or simvastatin or atorvastatin affect the BP lowering or not. So these are the inclusion criteria. The patient with SPP of 150 to 180 millimeters of mercury. Various combinations are being used nowadays in these trials because we have 5 drugs in the polypill. So now it will be amlodipine in place of atenolol or atenolol itself in 100 milligrams dose or amiprine 10 milligram dose. So 3 drug combinations, again we have various combinations. So amlodipine is a new addition. Some trials have also used lisinopril instead of amlodipine or atenolol or instead of amipril, sorry. So what we have seen is that what TIPS have achieved is a systematic approach since 2005. Different aspects of combination pharmacotherapy have been evaluated and we have seen the role in primary and secondary prevention of CVD. So TIPS 1 and 2, to summarize, they have been completed and they demonstrate tolerability and efficacy. TIPS 3, the ongoing large study, international clinical events trial, primary prevention study, and TIPS 4 is about to start in 3 months. Now just to give an idea about the other major trials that are going to happen is the Umpire trial is going on, the GAP trial is there, Tempus is there, Polygram trial. So now many countries and multiple investigators have come up with different formulations, different combinations, different doses to evaluate their own polypill kind of drugs. Just briefly before we complete the topic, some objections were raised to polypill as to how can a single dose be effective for all. Now the reason for polypill is that even if you have, at the moment what we are having is we are having a targeted therapy only for individuals wherein we find those risk factors. This is a primary prevention drug. It is not easy to be able to measure the LPL of all the patients in the country. It is not easy to be able to reach areas which are very, very difficult to reach or inaccessible for repeated checkups. So to be targeting only those classes wherein we find abnormality is not going to be easy. And anyway, when we have targeted therapy, we have seen how we are able to control the hypertension. So anyway, what better we are doing with targeting the therapy to only those people who are having some abnormality. Second, what the concerns regarding aspirin, that one has to keep in mind. We have to trade off between the side effects and the benefits. Some extracranial hemorrhages can occur, gastrointestinal mainly, but that can be taken care of. And one major objection has come in that people may use it in lieu of lifestyle modification. That is because when they are now having a polypill which is useful, they may stop their lifestyle modification, that we don't have to worry. We can just take one polypill and we are comfortable. But then again the question comes anyway, what is the adherence? What is the compliance anyways? So this I don't think is a very important point, just has been raised. So the benefits are many. You have significant CV risk reduction, you have improved adherence and compliance, reduced side effects, cost savings, that is a very, very major issue, and few medication errors. As has been pointed out in studies of tuberculosis and HIV patients, when you have multiple drugs, you are likely to miss a dose, you are likely to take a dose extra. So therefore, medication errors will be lost. Secondly, the cost savings, single packing of 5 drugs. You can imagine the cost saved. So who can benefit from Polycab? Patients with established CVD, heart disease or stroke, with or without hypertension, with or without dyslipidemia, and of course patients with hypertension and dyslipidemia. Practically, most of the patients can benefit. So just to summarize, 80% of CVD occurs in the underdeveloped and developing countries. That is very, very important. So, and we are developing country. These patients may not have an easy approach to doctors or hospitals. These patients may not be able to afford medicine. So it is these patients who will be benefited when we give polypill the most. So conceptually it is an excellent concept. A single pill which can be given even by paramedics and is cheap by virtue of single packaging, distribution and generic drugs and can be generally used, this would definitely be an asset. And this has been shown by WHO Choice Project and by Gaziano et al. That when we have a single drug or a fixed dose combination, the compliance is definitely better, as you can all know. So therefore, whenever a new concept comes, first the concept comes, there is some opposition to the concept, then you have some evidence supporting the concept, and ultimately the concept is accepted. As far as I am concerned, I think this is a very good concept, there is no doubt about it, and I am quite sure that in the future, and especially for developing countries like India, polypill is going to stay, and I think it will definitely generate a great amount of interest. Thank you.